Welcome to the Royal Horticultural Society's garden at Hyde Hall in Essex, and to the Floral Fantasia area, the Sun's 50th anniversary garden. And currently we've got a trial of 270 different kinds of pansy from 11 breeders around the world. And I can tell you, growing them has taught me quite a bit about pansies, although I think I knew a little bit about them before that. I mean, if we look at row 1, that shows you what pansies were like 25 years ago. Flower size a bit small and colours a bit dull, well certainly by today's standards. And then the plant breeders really got to work. And if we look at the first entry, Cello, there's a good range of colour, much bigger flowers, really good strong plants that are self-branching and very free flowering. Well, now we come to one of the two workhorses of the pansy world, and this is a series called Delta. It was introduced 25 years ago, and there are 34 different colours. Over the years, the breeders have just kept improving, so the names stay the same, but the quality just goes up and up. You can see that we've got a few weeds. Boy, you need to keep at this job, and if you can run the hoe through once a week, that makes the job much easier. Once these things get a hold, boy, they take some pulling out. But you need to recall the weather's been really tough. We've had really heavy rain and strong wind, and up here on the hilltop, things have really taken a thrashing, and you can see some of the flowers, particularly the pale pinks and some of the oranges. The petals are quite thin, and so they get weather damaged. And we need to go through once a week to do a bit of deadheading. Actually, we calculate that 40,000 deadheads a week need to come off, and if we can keep them from stopping to set seed, then they should flower pretty well into July. But you need to be careful when you're doing that deadheading, because it's quite easy to mistake that, which is an opening flower, with something like that, which is a fading flower. It's all right once you've got your eye in, and of course once the petals have dropped completely, then we have the seed pod, which is very easy to separate, not always easily seen because they tend to sneak down in amongst the leaves. But you need to be patient, and if you've just got one container or two or a small patch in a flower bed, it's certainly worth doing that deadheading. Now we've got 5 experimental varieties here from a company called Prudak, who've done quite a bit of work on edible pansies and violas. You know, you see the modern day chefs with those little tiny violas scattered over salads and things. To be quite honest, I haven't tasted these yet, but I can tell you that as experimentals, they're proving pretty good garden plants, especially the rich yellow with the dark blotch, and even the white with that deep rose blotch. That's standing the weather pretty well. And then next door to that, we have 4 more experimental varieties from a German company called Benari. They're particularly good with some of the orange-coloured pansies, and of these 4 experimentals, their white is pretty good. Generally speaking, the white right across all of the pansy series tends to be a bit smaller and not quite so vigorous, and this experimental white is performing pretty well. And then alongside it, that yellow with the black blotch, and then the purple. I mean, that's really striking. It's interesting that when you ask people which is their favourite, on a dull day, it tends to be the really strong colours. And then, of course, on a bright sunny day, the softer colours really come into their own. Boy, it's difficult choosing which colour you want from 270 odd of them. I've another of the workhorse series here, a group called Matrix, over 40 different colours, and including the mixtures. But whilst I'm here, just to take a look back, they say Essex is flat. I think it is a lovely rolling countryside, but it does show we're on top of a hill here, and boy, these plants take some pasting. But there's more Matrix over in the big bed. You know, when you look through the catalogues, you'll see that the seed prices vary, and the seed is critical. If you're a grower, a really good quality seed with 98% germination, it means that you have 10 days less with the germination and the establishment of seedlings, and that of course gives added value. And Matrix are one of those series that have high quality seed. And if you can't find a colour to suit you here, well then I give up. Alongside them we've got another major series from Japan, bred by Sakata, called Premier. Now, we were growing these in Floral Fantasia last year, and with a bit of deadheading they flowered right through to July, even though we had some really high temperature. It's what the extra vigour in these modern hybrids give us. And then over here, I mentioned earlier the high temperature varieties with big flowers, and we've got examples here with Colossus. So if we look at this flower, you can just see the size of it. But if you look a little closer, you can see the way that with heavy rain and wind, these big petals can get damaged. But if we have 2 or 3 really hot days, then the flower size will shrink a little bit, the petals will stiffen. And when it comes to selling on garden centres, these large single flowers really attract the customers. Now, all of these series will give exactly the same kind of growth. The colours might be different, but the way that they grow and the shape and everything matches. And of course, every now and again there's a really exciting colour which doesn't fit the series, and then the breeders pop them into a thing called Mystique. And here we've got Black Magic. It attracts a lot of attention, I can tell you here. People really go for this black colour. And then the purple and orange. I mean, just look at that contrast. And if it is a really bright sunny day, then I love that peach. It's a really unusual colour. And then here, blue and cream with a whiskery centre. But I need to show you cats to understand about whiskers. There must be a lot of people with cats because they really love this series, bred in Germany and called Cats. But you can see the whiskers on the Cats series. There are 6 or 7 different colours, and all of the faces very clearly whiskered. And then alongside again we've got Frizzle Sizzle, and there the petals are really frilled. If you see these when the temperature warms, then they become even more frizzled and sizzled. And elsewhere we have another lot called Balconita, the only one that's rooted from cuttings, bred in Cambridge, and those are really ruffled petaled. The interesting thing is that that ruffled petal tends to be slow to set seed, so there's not quite so much deadheading. Well, now, pansies are the most popular bedding plant of them all. in part because we can sow it for pretty well 52 weeks of the year, whereas something like Busy Lizzie you only sow for a 14 to 16 week period. But I wanted to draw your attention to this particular series called Panola, Pansy Viola, Panola, because that's the one you want for September planting. The violas and the smaller flowered kind will keep blooming right through whenever the temperature is 40 degrees Fahrenheit or above. You'll notice that the flower is a little bit smaller, but there's far more of them, multi-flowered, and boy do they make a show. Panola is the name to remember. You know what they say about the wine? You should keep the best till last. And so I thought I'd send you home happy with these, what I call landscape pansies. The names to remember are Cool Wave and Freefall XXL. They've been bred so that they break and spread and completely cover the ground. If you want something for a hanging basket, for a window box and for ground cover, then Cool Wave is one of the names to remember. And I can't congratulate the breeders and growers enough for the remarkable work they've done over the past 25 years. I mean, the colour range, the flower shape, the form, and the garden performance, most important of all, is really quite remarkable. And I can tell you, there's more to come. They're starting to breed the flowers so that they slope backwards a little bit and look up at you. Can't wait to see those.